U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
It was a big surprise for many people in Israel to come with this creative idea. But I know for sure that Trump is not looking for war. He's trying to close all the wars between Ukraine and Russia, between Israel and all the countries surrounded Israel. Now, in this idea, we must know that the Hamas is a terror organization. And for them, the victory happened on October 7, when they made the September 11. Now, we cannot allow, and he don't want to see Hamas in Gaza anymore. And I tell you what, even the Palestinian Authority don't want them, because they took over Gaza and they killed many of the Palestinian Authority people. So the idea is, I believe, that is to send people in Gaza to different places, and in the meantime to clean Gaza, including the tunnels and including all the weapons there, and just to build a new Gaza, to build airport, to build a harbor. I think it will be better for everybody. I believe that the normal people in Gaza don't want to live in this condition. I didn't see any Arab countries that welcome the people from Gaza. They don't want them. Even the Egyptians don't want them. And you know, there is a huge desert in the north of the Sinai, in the north of Egypt. And they don't allow them to live there or to stay there, even for a temporary time, to rebuild Gaza. I think that he will move people from Gaza to different countries. The immediate things can be in the north of Egypt, in Sinai. I believe that they will close the area, they will make an isolated area, so they can build something similar to host the people in temporary buildings, smart tents, with a better condition than they have in Gaza. I mean, it's very dangerous to enter to these remains of buildings in Gaza. Also, maybe some of them will go to Jordan, other countries. He mentioned Indonesia. It looks so far. I don't know. I believe that many of the people in Gaza will be very happy to move to different countries in Europe. I mean, we saw 1 million people from Syria that came to Europe. And I believe that if each one of the countries will say, okay, we are going to have 50,000 people, we're going to give them passports and everything, and we will help them. I don't like to use the word transfer. It's not a transfer, okay? We will not solve any problem with this. But I believe that he came with a new idea that, hey, I'm going to destroy the war machine. And it will be better, okay? I think it's a great thing also for people in Gaza. They are afraid to say it. And this is a black day and very sad day for the Hamas, for the terror organization that made the massacre on October 7.
The Bible says that the people of Israel shall rise like lions, and boy did we rise. Today, the roar of the Lion of Judah is heard loudly throughout the Middle East. Israel has never been stronger, and the Iran terror axis has never been weaker. But as we discussed, Mr. President, to secure our future and bring peace to our region, we have to finish the job. In Gaza, Israel has 3 goals: destroy Hamas's military and governing capabilities, secure the release of all of our hostages, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. I believe, Mr. President, that your willingness to puncture conventional thinking that has failed time and time and time again, your willingness to think outside the box with fresh ideas will help us achieve all these goals.
Well, it definitely sent an enormous shockwave across the region. It reshuffled the cards. As you expect and understand, there has been robust responses from across the region, Arab world, Palestinians who course, as expected, strongly reject Trump's statement. There will be, I would say, discussion with major Arab players involved who are relevant in the end of the day. The Jordanian king is supposed to be in Washington. The president of Egypt is supposed to be in Washington. There has been and will be discussion between U.S. officials and major Arab leaders, including particularly around that issue. I think that there is something very significant to emphasize here. Everybody is talking about the reactions of the states and politicians and so on and so on. Nobody asked the Palestinians in Gaza. And let me tell you what the Palestinians in Gaza are saying. They want out. They welcome Trump's suggestion. I'm talking with people from Gaza. I'm looking at what's coming from Gaza. The message is very clear. Interesting enough, the only people that has desire to leave the Palestinians in Gaza in the dire situation are the people that all the time are speaking on their behalf. At the end of the day, the Palestinians in Gaza are suffering. They are paying the price for their leadership and for their lack of bad choices they made. But now, as effect on the ground, hundreds of thousands of people in Gaza have nothing to go back to. They have no houses, they have no services, they have no infrastructure because of the war that their leadership initiated, Hamas, in October 7. And they want future. Now, ironically, but not surprisingly, Arab leaders are saying to them, no, you should stay where you are. And some circles in the West who portray themselves as the protectors of the Palestinians also say to the Palestinians in Gaza, no, you should stay where you are. Well, they don't want to stay where they are because they want a future, they want a hope. I would definitely think, for example, that in the context of the physical dimension, we could expect, for example, a much more proactive involvement in Egypt that borders Gaza physically. And there is enough vast area in Egypt, in Sinai, that could, even temporarily, could be some sort of like a temporarily, sort of speaking, solution for temporary evacuation of Palestinians from Gaza Strip. This is one thing that I think about, I would say, pragmatically, sort of speaking. I know that there has been talking about Jordan, but I think that it is much less likely to be a realistic program, sort of speaking. I think that talking about the West Bank is totally, of course, off the table. And so from a pragmatic perspective, I would say when I'm looking at the situation, I could think about Egypt in that regard. There is nothing on the ground in large parts of Gaza. I mean, the northern part of Gaza is substantially ruined. There is nothing there. It's all ruins and no services, no infrastructure. People need answers for the time being, whether it's going to be in Gaza or outside of Gaza, but something has to be offered to enable these people, something that is more than a tent. If at the end of the day we are going to see an outcome that is going to make sure that Gaza Strip will not become any longer a hub for constant violence, as it has been in the last couple of decades under Hamas rule. That's a good news for Palestinians first and foremost, for Israelis, and for the neighboring Arab states as well. The end game should be to make sure that Gaza Strip will not be any longer launching pad for violence and attack and so on. And it's very clear, to put it this way, all the trajectory, all the methods that has been thus far until last night applied by regional leaders, by Palestinian leaders, by international community in the context of the story of Gaza, all those methods has basically failed. They did not result any improvement, but the opposite. The outcome of that was an increasing escalation, as we have witnessed factually based on the ground in the context of Gaza Strip for the last couple of decades. So now there is a totally new game changer in town, potentially has the ability to result in a different result, a positive one for a change. So I think that it's important to look at it from that perspective. It's very easy to jump and condemn and reject, but then you have to ask yourself, we know that everything that was offered thus far did not work. It actually just resulted in the worst. So maybe there is a time for a new kind of approach, a new kind of thinking out of the box, and that's exactly what we see.